I'm here with Casye Fowler, and she's co-owner with Chuck Holbrook of Mooyah. And Casye, if you don't mind just telling us a little. I'm here with Casye Fowler, and she's co-owner with Chuck Holbrook of Mooyah. And Casye, if you don't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and maybe how you and Chuck came together to start this business.
Absolutely. So my name is Casye Fowler, obviously. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. Moved to Abilene when I went to ACU in 2004. Graduated there with undergrad, master's, and 2 degrees. I met Chuck at Chili's when we started working at the Southside Chili's. It's 2007, I believe, 2006. We worked there together about 3-4 years. That's where we instantly became best friends, family, and so that's how we met and we started hanging out. We got together, and as we went throughout our working career, we decided, hey, we really want to get into franchise. We talked about it all since we had first met and we had worked together. We realized that, this is something we could do, we were passionate about. As the years went on, he was at Chili's, I went to Uncle Julio's in Fort Worth, moved back to the Dallas market, and then he also moved to Ardmore to work at the Chili's there. And then he got into Raising Cane's, and so did I. We both worked for Raising Cane's for a few years. And so once we were there, we decided that we wanted to keep looking for franchise opportunities in the future. It was something we wanted to do. My dad was very interested in it, so was my mom, our family. And we came across Mooyah. And we came across Mooyah because we tested several places that we were interested in to look into eating and like what would bring to the Abilene market. Mooyah was something that just really hit our palate. We really liked the food. We thought it would be great to bring to Abilene. And we started looking into it, and we eventually made it work. We were able to find our resources and get to collab with my parents, and we brought it to Abilene, Texas. And so we actually signed to do 3 openings, 1 here, 1 in Lubbock, and 1 in San Angelo. And currently we're looking to possibly moving 2 in Lubbock instead of San Angelo first off, and then eventually opening San Angelo. But we'll do Abilene and then 2 in Lubbock. And so that's kind of how we came about. We'd been best friends for a long time. We became family. My parents wanted to do some type of business for all of us together. It's something like a family business. And we knew we wanted to bring it to West Texas because it was something that we knew this city needed something great. We're very connected to this community. Chuck's been here for a long time. I feel like I've been here for a long time. And so we really wanted to bring something to Abilene that would allow everyone to have another option of eating out.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And for our guests that are going to be with us at our luncheon to come hear you and Chuck speak and tell more of your story, what would be the benefit to them to come and hear your story? What's someone interested in small business or entrepreneurship? What will they gain?
I think they'll gain a lot of advice and experience from both Chuck and I. We offer a lot of expertise in certain areas. We definitely can give them advice on how to start up their business, especially with making sure they have the right research they've done, making sure they have the right help involved. There's a lot to starting a business. It's not just, hey, find a location and I'm good to go. And there's a lot to it. So I think we can offer kind of the steps it takes, the longevity it takes, the resources it takes, and any advice of do's and don'ts, because there's a lot of things we found out opening this business that we've learned that we didn't know, and then also what to do in the next opening. So I think we can give a lot of advice and feedback.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is there any advice specifically that you would give your younger self starting out?
Gosh, there's a lot, but when it comes to this, probably I would tell my younger self to, gosh, that's a good one. I would probably tell my younger self to make sure that you are passionate about what you get into. It took me a while going to ACU of what I really wanted to pursue in my career. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do, and I knew that the main thing I wanted to do was be in customer service and manage and lead people, but at the same time also serve people. And so it took me a little bit to figure that out. And so it would tell my younger self to be patient and find out your passion, because I found it when I was with Raising Cane's. I found my passion. I found really invested into taking care of people that I work with, and taking care of customers and serving people, because unfortunately we see less and less of good customer service these days. And so finding something that you're very passionate about, I can't say that enough. And so and definitely being patient of the process.
Yeah.
it takes patience.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
We look forward to hearing your story, you and Chuck.
Thank you.
Take care. Welcome to the second of the month Monday luncheon for the Abilene Startup community. There's a lot of familiar faces and some new ones. Glad everybody's here today to hear the story of Mooyah and how it came to Abilene, with its founders, Casye, Fowler, and Chuck Holbrook. If you're guests here that haven't attended before and all, we don't have necessarily a formal networking process here, but we do encourage you to meet everybody around you and vice versa. If you're a regular attender, then please go out of your way to introduce yourself to the unfamiliar faces. Abilene Startup Community's mission is to provide encouragement, equipping, and education to local entrepreneurs here. And so this second Monday luncheon is just that. We're going to not only provide some encouragement and some inspiration in the story with Casye and Chuck, but we're also here to maybe get some education along the way too. So join me in welcoming Chuck and Casye to tell their story about Mooyah.
Can you hear me? Perfect.
Hello.
Morning or afternoon, guys. How are y'all? Good. Well, like you said, my name is Casye. I'm one of the owners of Mooyah. That's Chuck. He's the other owner. We just wanted to come in today. We heard that Mike came into our restaurant a while back and told us about the group that he does with you guys. And we got really interested because we wish that someone would have given us some advice back in the day, and kind of we had questions to ask and anything that we wanted to do for a startup business. And so when he was telling us a little bit about what you guys do and what you meet for, we were very interested, because we love to give our history and our advice and what we've been through in our life and then even in our career. And so we really wanted to come in here and just chat and answer any questions that you guys have. And so, yeah, we were very glad to be here, and we'll definitely answer some questions at the end. We can tell a little bit about ourselves. I know Chuck has a lot of experience in this too as well. So, we both just want to give you kind of our history and background, and then if you guys have questions about anything, we can answer them. So if you want to tell them a little bit about yourself first.
So my name is Chuck Holbrook. I moved to Abilene in 2003 from Brownwood. My dad was military, grew up all over the world, been to Spain, Germany. I've been all over. I was going to Howard Payne, graduated from Brownwood, went to Howard Payne. Didn't know if I was really going to go restaurant, didn't know what direction in life I was going to go. I mean, when her question was, what would you ask your old self? And that was spot on. Because I didn't know. I mean, I wanted to be a coach. Then I wanted to be a millionaire. That's what I wanted. I mean, that's what I thought was it, was being a millionaire. Everything was good. I was golden. I was in it. So I started a restaurant thing when I was 14. I started working for a local restaurant in Brownwood, section hand. Is anybody in here from Brownwood or familiar with section hand? So you know section hand. So I was a bus boy, looking just to make some money. Then at that time, the mall was, I don't even know if the mall's still there. Is the mall still there? It is? Okay. Somewhat there, still standing. Okay. And so I worked at Corn Dog 7 after that. And I worked there for a long time. Then Chick-fil-A, huh? Corn Dog 7, yeah. And then Chick-fil-A, which Chick-fil-A wasn't then what it is now. So it's changed a lot. That's what I did. I was going to Howard Payne when I graduated, was working at Chick-fil-A. Again, not knowing what direction I wanted to go. I just knew I wanted to do something big. I thought I had a big purpose for me. I didn't know what that was. Still to this day, I think I'm on the right track. I hope. I don't know. But in 2003, I moved to Abilene, and off of a whim. Brownwood was I was playing basketball, hurt my knee, was in a depression state. Anyways, moved here to Abilene just to get away from Brownwood, and in 2005, I started the restaurant thing again, and it just took off from there. Started at Chili's, was at Chili's until 2011, and then I went partners in with a gentleman, and we bought Gold's Gym when Gold's Gym was here, and did that for a few years. Along the way, I started doing real estate, did real estate for 11 years. Again, in my mind, I'm thinking, where can I make the most money? That's all I kept thinking about at the time. More money, more money, more money. And real estate now is booming. I got out a little early, which is I'm fine with. I'm very happy with where I'm at. But and then Casey and I met probably 2005 or 6. I can't. Between that time is I was managing, and I went to her restaurant and was managing, and we just became friends. The day I was there, first day I was there, I became friends with her. It was. That's it. I mean, we've been best friends since, family since. We kind of went a lot of different ways. After I left, I went back to Chili's, moved to Oklahoma to open up a Chili's there. She went to Fort Worth, like she said. And it's funny, what I want to do in my career, I didn't do from school.
Same.
She graduated with her master's, didn't even use her degree. It's crazy. I mean, all your goals that you have set and your mindset, it changes daily, and a lot of people.
I guess at least I use my psychology with people, but not really what I wanted to do.
It's working. It's working. It's working. Where we are now with Mooyah and where I was, it's black and white. I didn't grow up, with money. I didn't grow up. My dad was military. My dad was gone half the time, and so it was really my mom raising my sister and myself. I mean, that's who it was. It was just us three. And so my parents divorced when I was 16. They just came home and said, we're separating, we're going our ways. My sister was with her boyfriend at the time, and weird to me, but she was with her boyfriend, and they were living together, and so I had to figure out life on my own. My mom moved to Killeen, my dad moved to Missouri, and I was stuck in Brownwood. Didn't know what to do. Graduated, I keep going back and forth because it just, where I am now to where I was, it's a lot. So, I mean, if somebody who didn't have the money being raised right, or whatever that looks like, I went through a lot. I was in the trenches. And so, I lived from friends to friends' houses. I was I was in the streets a lot, learned a lot about the streets. I became very street smart. And as I got older, I started realizing there's a lot more than just that to me, and for me, and for my family. And so, again, now moving forward, when she and I met, we wanted to always do something together. We didn't know what. We didn't know what it was. Our family wanted to do something together. So we interviewed probably, 10 or 12 different companies.
Yeah.
We interviewed them. So when you go into like a Mooyah franchise, it's not them interviewing you to see if you guys are worthy enough. It's to see if they're worthy enough for your time, because you're going to need that. And we went. Yogurt places, retail
crazy.
places.
It's crazy how we came up with this, and it's just crazy kind of before we get into that. It's crazy to see different life stories, and like if you're, thinking, oh, I can't do something like this because of my past. And I say this because I can say it about him because he's like my brother, my best friend. We both grew up in two different worlds. Like he grew up in that lifestyle with divorced parents. My parents are still happily married to this day. I grew up in a blessed atmosphere. And so I don't take that for granted, but he saw that too. And I don't take for granted anything with his family. His family are great people. His parents are, they're my second mom and dad. And so it's crazy to see the two different type of lifestyles that we grew up in. But, we instantly hit it off and became best friends. And it just shows to me that no matter what you've been through in life, no matter if you've been in and out of jail, in and out of trouble, alcohol, drug abuse, whatever it can be, like anything and everything, like you can be where we're at today. He's gone through a lot, and he is blessed to be, where we're at and being successful. And it's crazy.
Stereotypical business person.
Yeah.
It's not somebody with tattoos.
Yeah.
It's not somebody that has had the like you said, the white picket fence home, or whatever you want to put on, however you want to label it. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's not.
Not everybody that's in this position that we are in. We have a lot of friends in this community that are business owners or own a lot of real estate. He has another good friend of his that, I mean, they have come from nothing and they are where they're at today.
I've got
And
a
so
good
it's
buddy of mine who
Talk
graduated.
about Harley?
He dropped out of high school when he was a sophomore. I mean, he's a multi-millionaire right now. I mean, multi-millionaire. I mean, I do things with him on a daily basis. So it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not saying don't graduate high school. I'm not saying don't pursue that. I'm just saying you don't have to be the statistic of, oh, I didn't graduate high school. I didn't graduate college. So I don't want to, I mean, this is where I'm good at being where I'm at. Never settle. Let's move ahead. So where we are now. And so Mooyah, this was, where we were was pre-COVID. We had started this 3 years, a year and a half prior to COVID hitting.
Should we signed up when you were you just with Canes or just left Canes or with?
In the end of 2017 is when we signed with Mooyah.
So we were both still in our jobs that we were with. I was still invested 100% with Canes, and I was never leaving Canes. It was just something to do on the side. Him as well. He was invested with Diamondback Golf. He was trying to become a golf instructor, and really, that was another thing we wanted to do. We wanted to own a golf course. We wanted to do something like that.
I still might, just not yet.
So we had looked into that, and then he came to me. He was like, "We've got to start looking. Why not?" And I was like, "All right." He was like, "I'm happy with Canes, but let's do something on the side." And he said, "I'm happy with the golf course, but we should be our own business owners. We can do this. We've done this for years." And so we did. We started looking. We went to, what did you say first? We did yogurt.
We looked at some cool little yogurt places and then realized, yeah, that's great, but the 2 months here in Texas that we would need revenue to come in, how would we do that?
Yeah.
Or we looked at
Donut places.
We looked at retail places. We looked at
Full service restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've looked at everything. And as COVID was creeping up on us more and more and more, in my mind, the simpler the better at the time. Simplicity was going to be key. Raising Cane's does so well is because it's simple. I mean, think about it. It has fries, chicken, and coleslaw. That's what they serve. It does well. That's the concept that I told her. We really need to get something along those lines. With us, burgers, fries, and shakes. Simple. And I say that very loosely because the restaurant business now today it's the hardest it's ever been in the 25 plus years I've been doing this. It is anywhere from supplies to employees to, oh my gosh, construction, equipment, everything, just to get anything nowadays. It's very difficult. And I'm sure that's not just the restaurant business, that's anywhere. And we know it.
People say that we got lucky that we signed up right before COVID, like you said. We signed our franchise agreement, and some people say, "Oh, you're lucky you didn't have to deal with that through COVID." No. We're seeing the aftermath of COVID. Luckily, yes, we didn't have to build and could have lost potential money because we wouldn't have been able to open during COVID. But we're seeing the wrath of it now, like he said, with supply chain and things like that. And so, but we're able to adjust because we've been in this business for a while, and we both worked at restaurants during COVID. Well, we were both in restaurants during COVID. I think he just came out of Canes during COVID, and I was in the nitty gritty of it, and it was crazy. So we did.
Yeah, it's been the most challenging. I would say the most challenging of any. I'm 43 years old, and I would say since I was 14, I mean 30 years. It's been the most challenging. Yeah. Yes, sir. So the question was, are we seeing post-COVID, are we seeing a growth in sales? Interesting. For us personally, we didn't know what pre-COVID Mooyah sales would have been. But I can tell you where we are today, we are the top 10. We're number 6, the 6th Mooyah in sales in the company. And we're competing against California, who they charge, I mean, their burgers are $15, $16 a burger. And price points are completely different. And we were at one point in time, we were number 3. So I think our expectations are right on point of where we want to be. And so, again, I've been doing a lot of pounding the pavement, grinding with the people that I know in this town, face to face meetings. I meet daily with people. I mean, build relationships. I mean, the biggest thing right now is the relationships. Without the relationships, the sales wouldn't be there. I just know they wouldn't.
That's a big thing is networking. We've had to network. He knows more people in this town than I do, but us both being here for a long time, we both have connections, whether from ACU to Hardin Simmons to all the other business partner owners that we have that are good friends of ours. That's the main thing, is making sure you have the connections and networking in here with that.
Yeah, it's that's it. I mean, it's the networking. We're not McDonald's, you know. McDonald's name is there. It's been there for 50, 60 years. The name is there.
Yeah.
With us, we've got to build that name and continue building that name. And even in a year or two, when our name is here, I'll never get comfortable. I'll still pound the pavement, still meet you face to face. We've hit some big deals. I mean, we've got a big order coming for Hendrick, which we would have probably never. It's a big. I mean, it's 1,600 burgers coming in next weekend. Some big deals we've done. The car dealerships. I hit the car dealerships. I'm friends with all the GMs. I mean, it's things like that continue helping our sales grow. Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been easy, and it won't be easy. But and again, I don't know if the restaurant. Everything I read, everything I look on, I don't know if the any restaurant business will ever get back anytime soon. It doesn't look like it. I mean, what I see, people talk about 12 to 18 months. I heard that 12 or 18 months ago. Yeah. It's networking and it's grinding. I mean, you have to grind. Don't sit back and just say, okay, we have a name on the building. People walk in and there you are. Yeah. It's just not like that.
It's definitely not,
especially now. It's
definitely not easy. We've had a lot of obstacles we've had to face, and I wouldn't suggest anyone that's never, if you're trying to get into a franchise business or you're trying to own a business, like he is real big on research. If you've never been in a restaurant business or even been in a retail business, I wouldn't do it just because it sounds good. It's easy to franchise. We know a group of people in the Metroplex that got into Mooyah and owned one, and it was just a couple of doctors. And I hate to say it, within less than a year, they had to sell because they didn't know what to do. They had no idea how to run it, no idea what it takes for a restaurant. And so it's not saying you can't do it. You just want to make sure you do your research before you get into something, because a lot of the times people see franchise owners as, oh, you can sit back and do nothing. I'm just going to own something and buy into it, and then I'll reap the benefits. Oh, no. I think I was there, him and I, when we first opened for the first 4 months, I know for a fact we were both there probably morning to night, minus the fact that both of us got COVID when it first opened in our grand opening, but we were there morning to night. And to this day, I'm still there every day. He's there at least. He's the marketing, so he's outside. So if he's not in the restaurant, he's outside running around. But I'm there almost every day too. So is he. And he'll come by and he'll check in with our people. And I mean, yeah.
Sure. Go ahead. Yes, sir. The question was, there's been several, 100,000? A little over 100,000 since the beginning of the year, restaurants closed in the United States. Prior? Okay.
And you're asking if we've seen an impact on that?
I don't know. I know what you're saying. I don't know if new restaurants coming in are filling voids. I don't think you want to be that. I don't think you want to go into business doing it that way, because I feel if you do that, you're going to end up just like that. Mm-hmm. You need to be, again, Casey made a point at the very beginning of all this about how be passionate about it. A lot of these restaurants, they were flatlined. So, they weren't taking precaution on COVID. They were just settling at the moment. You got to prepare. And if you're not prepared, look what happened, and that's with us. If we talked about it. If COVID hit again, what do? We have a plan in place if that does happen. Don't get caught behind the 8 ball. And that's what happened with a lot of the restaurants that happened. I mean, I've got friends that shut down restaurants. I have a guy that I know lives in Chicago. He's had a restaurant for 42 years, shut down. Mm-hmm. He just wasn't prepared. He's an old school guy. So he was like, no, if it happens, it happens. If not, I mean, he was just that type of guy. But you have to be prepared, especially, with everything going on right now. You have to be that way. So a lot of restaurants, I think that, people want to be in the restaurant business. I don't know why. I don't know why I got saying that. I don't know why.
It's not easy.
We love what we do, and if you don't love it, truly love what you do and love being in the business,
It's hard to be
it's going to be a
successful.
struggle.
Yeah.
Could be. Yes, sir.
But we also have to think about other ways, like he was saying, preparing for if something else happens like this again. That's why we're expanding to Lubbock, and because when we bought into the company, we bought in 3 franchise rights. So we own the West Texas rights currently. So like we are the ones going there. So when Lubbock opens up, we're having 2 there. We know for a fact, I have been hard pressed on them. We will open a drive-through because I have that experience. So does he with Cane's, because when I had Cane's during COVID with the drive-through and I shut down all my dining room, I had more sales that year just because I still had drive-through. And so our sales never went under. It was honestly, we probably did better that year in 2020 than we did in 2019, just because we had a drive-through open. So we know if something happens like that, pickup windows, mobile parking, delivery service. That's why we're now going to be partnering with another drive-through company or drive delivery company in order to drop off food. So that way we're not in that bind. So.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a question?
Yes.
Oh, that's a really
That's a
good
good one.
question.
Obviously, franchise, you're kind of at the mercy of the franchise a lot.
Let's do the pros first.
Okay, so let's do the pros first. Okay.
Let's
So
be
there's maybe a lot of
positive
cons.
first.
So okay, so pros, there's structure already. There's structure there. You know the structure. The structure's there. They're basically giving you the tools that they've already created, and saying, here you go. Here's the platform to use.
You don't have to come up with your own food.
You don't have to come up with the menu. You don't have to, and don't do that because I've done that.
Don't do that.
I'm doing it with a friend of mine right now, and it's a
hard.
lot. So it's the structure's there. You have a support team. Anything you need, it's there. The full packages it's basically ready for you to open, and there you go, and now you're good to go.
You can too also call your own shots in a sense. Like we do a lot of things different. We have been because we are really
our
likes
parents
us.
are both. I have to say this because it's a big deal. But they're both attorneys. One's a corporate attorney. One's a real estate attorney. So we have everything kind of all together. And then our dad also, he does all of our book work. He's a CPA, so we have everything together. But Mooyah's never had a franchise package like we are, and so they always ask for advice. They always give us the leadway. They're giving us green lights to do things that other franchisees aren't able to do, or they're not allowing them to do it until they see how we do with it.
You can't stray from the brand, but you can change how you want to do things in your restaurant. And I say 4
your
walls,
area.
like culture or the way you take care of your people. We do it completely different. No one in Mooyah has ever seen how we take care of our people and our staff. That's why we don't have this big turnover. And Mooyah is kind of like, what are you doing? How are you keeping your people? It's like, that's how we take care of them. And then for them, for the downside of that is we have to follow certain things when it comes to like the food. We can't stray, obviously. We can't stray from the beef and all that, which is, we don't want to. But something simple as, I come from fresh squeezed lemonade, and I wish we could do that, but we have to use the Minute Maid. I'm just using that as an example. I can't change that. But with franchise, we have a little more leeway and freedom to do what you want, but you just have to follow certain of the brand standards. But like he said, if you get in with a franchise company and you have that experience, 9 times out of 10, they just let you do your thing as long as you're producing the sales.
I mean, because ultimately, I'll be honest with you, the franchise partners, they want the money. That's what they want. That's why they're in the business. They want their royalties. That's what they want. I mean, do they care about you? Maybe the owner of the company? Maybe not. I don't know. But with us, they are very gung-ho with us. Even the owner lives in California. There's a big venture group there, and they are very involved with us. And again, they're probably involved with others, but we just know they're very involved with us. And it's nice, and they give us, again, like she said, they give us a little leadway than they have with others. And the only reason we know that is because we've had conversations with other franchise owners.
What do you think?
And again, not trying to be like we're tooting our horn or anything, but it's good that Mooyah's like that, because also Mike earlier, Mooyah's they've always been behind at times. They can't keep up with the future and what's happening now, and so they use us a lot. I mean, again, they have franchise owners that come in that are lawyers, that have never, or doctors, like she said, they've never been in the restaurant business. If you don't know restaurant, it's very difficult. It's not, their training isn't 5, 8, 10 weeks. It's 2 weeks of training. You can't train anybody on God's green earth ever in the restaurant business to know everything about how to do it all and perfect it. Again, you'll never perfect it, but you know what I mean? And so,
I think one of our cons are.
the cons, you know, it's, I don't have a lot, but I mean, you know, it is, you can't change certain things on the menu that you know. Some things that work in Dallas won't necessarily work in West Texas or in New Jersey or Washington or wherever. Things change, the market changes. They're just not flexible with that. And I understand that. You want to keep the brand. And I understand that. But I fought with them about how I want to do my marketing here in Abilene. You can't market here like you do in Dallas. They finally gave in and allowing me to do what I want because I just fought them over and over and over, and they saw that it was working. And I just said, just trust me. If it doesn't work, we'll go back and we'll try it your way. So you really just don't have in the franchise, when you with a franchise, you just don't have that flexibility if you're independent, you know?
Yeah.
But again, if you have a concept and you know it's good to go and you have your menus lined up and you can be independent, all day long I'd be independent.
Yeah.
Because those royalties, you know, the royalties aren't bad. I mean, they're from 6% to 9% typically. Nowadays they're more 9% than they were a few years ago. And again, COVID maybe, I don't know. But I typically see it's between 6 and 9%. 6%, you're really killing it. You're doing good if you can get a royalty at 6%.
I think really the only other con is just, but I think it's con is just because of COVID, supply chain. I've had issues with like our delivery, but that's everywhere. So there's not too much of cons because in franchising, it's your call and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you really feel like it's something you don't want to do, that when it comes to like buying an equipment for your building, you can push back on them because it's your money. So, you know, like, there's a certain limit of what they can just force you to do. I don't really say force because they don't really force you to do something, but I mean, you can make the changes. It's your money you're putting into and you're investing in. I don't really think they've ever really given us any problems with that.
No, they really haven't. And we've even looked at this, like if, say for Mooyah didn't work out, we didn't know what Mooyah, you know, what the plans for Mooyah would be. Our plan would be to keep where we are, keep doing what we're doing, change the name. But we have plans in place for that. Like I'm always planning ahead. I'm planning 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. I tell them all the time what my 10-year plan is, my 12-year plan. I have a timeline of where I want to be and what I want to do, and obviously it's changed a lot since I was a kid. But there's not a lot of cons. There's really not. Again, you're kind of at somebody else's mercy, you know, and I try to tell everybody I'm local, even though I'm franchise, I'm local. I'm a local guy, you know, and so, and people that know that I'm here, they know that I'm here. And, you know,
Shoot.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Hopefully 10 years. That's my plan. That's our plan for 10 years
10
is to
years,
be a millionaire, is to be right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a really good
So
question.
2 questions. One was, what do we do extremely well? And the second one was, I'm sorry, what was the second one?
What do you need help with?
And what do we need the most help with? Extremely well, I think, is customer service. I mean, that's the biggest thing for us in our business. It's lacked a lot, and I think there's been a lot of excuses people use, well, because of COVID or because we're short-staffed or you know, whatever that looks like in your business. We don't use that excuse, even though it may be the truth. We'll never use that excuse.
So hopefully, if any of y'all have come in there and you have had poor customer service, you better let us
We
know.
want to know, because I want to know. We will never grow and we'll never get better if we don't have that feedback. And again, I'm not. Some business owners maybe. Oh no, I'm offended. No, we know what happens. We know. We know what happens, and I want that feedback. We want to. I mean, we reach out to everybody that gives us a 3-star or less on Google reviews. We reach out to everybody. We never just push it to the wayside. So that's a big thing to us, and good quality food, especially nowadays. I mean, you got to have a good product, obviously, and your customer service has got to be top notch. It has to be. And is it always going to be that way? No, but that's a big thing to us. What we need the most help with, I think consistency across the brand, the board. I mean, supplies, employees. It's very hard to train an employee for 2 weeks and then they're off to the next restaurant to see if the 25 cents more they make an hour works. And I feel we take really good. I mean, we give every employee that works for us, we give them bonuses.
I was going to say that's one of our best things we do.
That's a big thing to us is we're very prideful with our team. I mean, because without them, there's no us. So, but that's it. And we spend a lot of money on training dollars. And it stinks because the way that I've never looked at it like this until now. Excuse me. We train this team, but in my mind, I'm thinking like, are we training this team to get stronger to go somewhere else? It was never like that in the past. It was always like, I'm training this person because it's going to be with me at this restaurant forever. And again, I know half my kids that work for me and my team, they're not going to be with us forever, and I still have a challenge sometimes in my mind, and I don't ever voice it and I don't ever treat it differently, but man, am I training them to go somewhere else? Because some of them never had a restaurant experience, never been in the restaurant business, and we give them that opportunity. And so it's been a challenge, with that quite a bit. But again, I tell everybody that comes to work for me, hey, if this isn't a long-term goal, I'm fine with that. What do you want to do? Let me help you. Whatever it looks like. I got a kid that works for me, and he's probably one of the hardest working kids. He wants to be a photographer. Whatever we got to do, because we never know. We may end up having 20 Mooyahs, and we may need somebody to do all of our photography and do all of our whatever we do. Who knows? And so, but that's a staffing. I think is the big thing for us. I think that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Even though we've done pretty well, but I still think it's still a challenge on a daily basis. Yes, ma'am. I honestly, I want. I told her I want to buy. I would buy Mooyah. I'd buy the franchise of Mooyah. I think it has a lot of potential, and I don't think it's being maximized. Not because our support team's not doing well, but they're not. They want to just go ahead and it doesn't matter who you are. If you have the numbers to approve to get your franchise, they're going to okay it. There just has to be more done to that. And so, but yeah, I wouldn't mind doing something like that. I really would. I do some other projects with a buddy of mine, outside of Mooyah too. And so, but she and I have talked about doing a lot of different things, not just Mooyah. We don't know. After we get 5 or 10 of them, we don't know what we want to do. Yeah. We may go do something completely different, But my vision is hang on to Mooyah for 10 or 15 years, then sell them all off, and then go do something different.
Yeah.
That's when the millionaire part comes into play, if you're asking.
Yes, sir.
I hear negatively about a partnership with another person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking up that you guys are doing or enjoying being in partnership with each other. How do you deal with conflict?
That's a really good question.
Do you want me to answer this one?
I'll go first. Then you can piggyback because I know where you're going with this. So, and I know exactly what he's going to say. So the part about doing this with someone that's been your best friend, like I know everything about him and I've known him for 17 years. It's a good and a bad thing because I know what buttons to push on him. He knows what buttons to push on me. But at the end of the day, like I told him, I said, we get into this. The moment that we feel like this is jeopardizing our friendship and our family, I'm walking out of it. Yep. And it kind of makes me tear up today because we've gotten really close to that point. But we push through it because we're strong. So it's not easy. It's not easy because I love this guy. He's my best friend. But we found that out at the very beginning because it was really hard to do this at first. And then we just really started, look, like you can do this, like, we split our roles and we just were honest and communicated. And now it's better than it was. But no, it's not easy because like I said, you know someone so well, so you know what can push their buttons and so what can piss them off. But at the same time, he knows my strength and my weaknesses, and so I know his as well. But it's not easy. I wouldn't do it with anyone else though. If you asked me, who would you do this with someone else? No, there's no way. I'd go back to Raising Cane's and just work as a training advisor there. I wouldn't do it with anyone else because of just how much I love and know him. So, but it hasn't been easy, and he will answer that too. But it's been very, like I said, I wouldn't do it with anybody else. You just have to, if you do a partnership with someone that you're close with, you have to really separate business and friendship. You can't put it together. And there's days where he'll come in and he'll walk through those doors. He's like, I'm not your friend today. I'm your partner. And this is what we're doing wrong. And I'm like, okay. And I've had to accept that because before I took it as in him was like getting on to me. And I was like, wait a second, you're supposed to be my partner in this. You're supposed to be my friend. And he's like, no, I'm not your friend right now. I'm your business partner. So
Yeah.
I've had to understand that, and I've had to step back and be like, okay, he's right. He's doing this for our business so that we can be successful. He's not doing it to be mean or to, because I know, guy, girl, I'm sensitive. He's not because I'm a woman, whatever.
Hey,
But
all right.
it hasn't been
Okay.
easy, but yes, it works. I couldn't do it with someone like I don't trust, and I trust him
Yeah, that's the
wholeheartedly.
truth. Yeah, it was pretty gung ho. We were at each other's throats quite often, But again, it's just knowing your role. We've been family for 18 years, 17 years, and so kind of to separate business and then your friendship, it was tough at the beginning, And the way that I am when it comes to business, I'm business. I'm all about business. I'm about the business needs. I'm not about friendship at that point, and it was hard for her to understand that because it's never been that way. It's always been our friendship first and everything else was second. And now our friendship still and family still comes first. Don't get me wrong. But whenever I walk in those doors, it is business. And so, good. One more question. We got one more question. You good with that? Ooh, that's a good question.
So you're asking post COVID, how would we evolve? Okay. Honestly, I don't think there's anything I would change. As much as people say COVID was terrible, I learned so much more about this business being in COVID and working at, when I say Canes, because that's when I was in Canes. I was in the middle of it, and I saw how we all had to adjust real quick. We were having block scheduling. I couldn't see certain employees. All my supply chain was up and down. I learned to adapt to that and adjust it, and now I feel like anything can happen in the world, any type of pandemic, and I know how to operate with the restaurant. And so honestly, it'd be great if everything after we just smooth sailing, never had a supply chain issue, no turnover. That's a restaurant owner's dream. Like obviously, you don't have to deal with any of that. But I don't know if I could change anything because I feel like I've been equipped to handle when things like this happen. So I don't know if I could change anything because I feel like it would be fine, but he might.
I don't know. I think Mooyah itself would evolve. I think we would grow quicker.
Yeah.
I think they'd be more comfortable. I really think they delay a lot because of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Mooyah itself would evolve. They would grow. It would continue growing. It wouldn't just sit back and wait like, but what if? I told her a million times in the restaurant business, you can't play the what ifs. You don't schedule what if we're busy. You don't schedule what if we're slow. You schedule what the business needs are. And that's what Mooyah, and I'm on Mooyah's all the time about it. Like, we've got to continue expanding and growing because that's what you want, but we need to do it the right way. So I think they would evolve if they just they do a lot of the what ifs. That's a challenge for me because I don't do it that way. I want to go ahead and I want to hit the ground running. I want to go. I want to get stuff done. I want to be successful, help others. And so I think that's kind of, I kind of think that's kind of where Mooyah needs to be and where they need to go moving forward, in my opinion. So.
But given the fact you were just